A key concept in the world of relational psychology is the principle of motivation, specifically what motivates a person's behavior and the stay power of that motivation. In order to understand the principle of motivation better, let's take a look at this graphic. Motivation can be driven from a spectrum of different places, between internal and external. The more external a motivator, the more likely the motivation is to be abandoned at the soonest opportunity. Additionally, the more external a motivator, the more likely the motivator creates resentment, frustration, stress, and exhaustion for an individual. On the other side of the spectrum, the more internal a motivation, the more likely an individual is to be loyal to that motivation, and the more the motivator produces fulfillment, joy, peace, and rejuvenation for an individual. To explore this further, let's begin with examples of external motivators. The most external a motivation can be is a motivation that is driven by fear. In other words, acting out of fear of the potential consequences. For a spouse, an example of this might be helping with the laundry because they are afraid their spouse might have an emotional meltdown if they don't. The motivation to do laundry in this example is being driven by fear, not an internal desire, which means a spouse's fidelity to helping with the laundry is only as great as their fear of the consequences if they don't. It also means that it is very likely that the laundry will produce resentment and contempt in the relationship for both individuals even when the laundry is getting done. A layer in from fear are motivations driven by guilt. While guilt-driven motivations are still highly external, guilt motivators are becoming a bit more internal than fear due to a desire to please the other person in the relationship. Because of this desire to please, guilt-based motivators have a bit more stay power than fear-based motivators, though they still have high potential for fostering resentment and exhaustion in the relationship, as one is acting from a desire to avoid guilt trips or guilty feelings versus an actual internal motivation and desire. Guilt-based motivations are also known for their destructive nature in fostering feelings of insecurity and inadequacy in relationships. A layer in from guilt is duty. A motivation of duty comes from a place of feeling responsibility to self and others. Acting out of duty increases internal desire significantly. When a spouse acts out of duty, they honor themselves and others with authentic desire, even when the situation is difficult. Using the laundry as an example, it is a spouse's respect for their partner combined with their own internal value of being a good partner themselves that produces motivated commitment to the monotony of cleaning, folding, and putting away clothes when they would rather be catching up on their favorite program or working on a project in the yard. In this place of motivation out of duty, the discontent associated with the laundry is outweighed by the satisfaction produced by being true to self and spouse. In this manner, duty-focused motivation is healthier for individuals and relationships than guilt-based or fear-based motivations. The most internal a motivation can be is a motivation driven by love. Love for self and love for others. Love as a motivator encourages behavior with exponentially greater levels of stay power and positive effect than duty, guilt, or fear ever could. When a person sacrifices out of love, they hardly feel the sacrifice. When a person serves out of love, they hardly feel the labor. When a person grows themselves out of love, they hardly feel the stretching. Love is the most internal of all motivators, and as such possesses a strength and a stay power unmatched by any other motivator. Motivation from a loving place also has the greatest potential for fostering relational strength, connection, fulfillment, and influence. Now, for all of you realists out there is one additional internal motivator called greed. Greed is a motivator that has potential for equal stay power in its self-motivated pursuits, though is extremely empty in its ability to produce lasting fulfillment, joy, peace, and rejuvenation. To the contrary, insatiability is a common product of greed, and greed by nature is destructive to individuals and relationships. Therefore, and because we're not promoting bad people, love wins. My challenge to you is to love yourself enough to become the best version of you, and then gift that loving person to those who mean the most to you. Individuals, marriages, and families, and societies would truly be blessed if each of us worked to become motivated a little more out of love.